Welcome to Three Skulls Tavern, a channel devoted to tabletop role-playing games by Free League Publishing. This show is sponsored by WorldMill, online server hosting for the Foundry Virtual Tabletop. To support the show, head over to patreon.com/MattK. For a minimum of $2 per month, you get access to a ton of extra content. The joys of live streaming, forgot to unmute myself. Hello and welcome back to episode 9 of my Forbidden Lands solo campaign. I'm Matt, the GM, the player, all of the above, the solo player in this game. And yeah, I'm going to jump straight into it. If you remember from last episode, it was 2 weeks ago, what now? So I'll just give a very quick update. Udo had been mauled by a grey bear, which is effectively a monster bear. It doesn't follow necessarily the same rules of wilderness law that a normal bear would. So I know there were some comments of people saying this is how a bear would react in a lot of situations. I think that's fair and has helped me to direct some of its actions, but there is definitely an entry in the game about how this bear behaves, because it's not a normal bear. It's basically like perhaps demon influenced or something like that. So anyway, this bear mauled Udo and took him away to its cave, which was only 1 hex away from where Udo got attacked. Yubi managed to stay hidden. She had done a little bit of damage to the bear, but only a little, and followed the bear back to its cave. Managed to get herself up in a hiding spot up a tree, which Udo was not able to do. And basically waited until the bear left its cave, then went in, grabbed Udo, who was kind of unconscious in a very bad state, tried to quickly heal him, patch him up, failed, and Udo was basically left with, I believe he had a punctured, I'm gonna have to look this up very quickly, but I believe he had a punctured lung. I forgot to look exactly what he had. Give me 1 second. Udo's injury. Punctured lung. Yeah. So Udo has a punctured lung. He's in a bad state, and with rolling the dice for its lethality, worked out that he would die from his injury within 4 days. So, not that Yubi knows this, of course, but mechanically, Udo's got 4 days before he's dead. Half of that is passed already. Not half of it, sorry. 1 full day has passed already. From when he got his injury, and we're halfway through. So I worked out it was going to be the 3rd of Winter Wane, the new month. Not Winter Wane, should be Winter Rise. I need to fix that very quickly on my calendar as well. But basically, yeah. So Udo is going to die very, very soon, like within 3 days. And it's up to Yubi to try and save him. Now, the bear hasn't returned. It's still out from its cave. Yubi has tried and failed to build a decent raft to get Udo and her onto the river and to a village she knows should be nearby, upriver, towards the mountains. But because I failed that role for her, she's basically built something a little bit ramshackle, and I kind of wasn't sure what that meant exactly. I was suggesting that the raft would be able to get her just across the river, like to cross the river, but no further than when it fall apart. I've since thought that I'm going to actually be asking the Oracle if the boat is still staying in one piece or if it's starting to fall apart. And I'm going to ask the Oracle instead, and I'm going to stack the Oracle to give me like an unlikely or likely answer, depending on how I phrase the question, to stack the odds in favor of the raft falling apart. So it could be that this makeshift raft that she's built can maybe see her and Udo all the way to this village. But I will be asking, I've decided I'm going to be asking every quarter day that the raft is being used, I'm going to be asking the Oracle if it's still staying in one piece. So that's not just every hex. The village is about 4 hexes away. We'll have a look at the map in a second, but that's effectively what I want to do. So, give me 1 second while I just change the map here to be on the correct day. We should be the 1st of Winter Rise. And the day of the week should be... I don't know what it is. Let me look. I don't have it with me right now. I'll change it later. So it's the first of winter rise at midnight. Okay, so this is also kind of an interesting thing. The day of the... Like, I've been talking for a while in this campaign so far that... we're in the autumn. We were in the autumn, and winter was just around the corner. Winter is coming. Well, winter has arrived. As of when we're starting this game right now, it is midnight on the first of winter rise, the first day of winter. So things are getting chillier. Things are going to get harder. Foraging, hunting, like everything that you do with like resisting cold, etc. Just everything gets more awkward when it becomes winter, as you'd expect. So we really need to get to this village as quickly as possible because Yubi is already suffering from the effects of cold, and she's tired. And I think with that, we're going to get started. One of the first things I'm going to be looking up is, in fact, I'll switch over to my Foundry view here. I've made it look a little bit different. As you can see, my face isn't filling up everything. I'm trying to give a bit more real estate to the Foundry instance off to the side here. So what I've done is I've split out the chat log and just put it above me. So the chat log will always be displayed. Yeah, it just makes it a little bit more easy to kind of, see what's going on the screen. So if I'm actually going to open up here, I'm going to open the journal, and I'm going to go to the player's handbook. We're going to open up the bit about combat and damage, and there's a bit here where it talks about, it's basically damage and recovery, and it's going to be at the end of this section, where it's going to be talking about non-typical damage and, cold and all the rest of it, somewhere around here. In fact, I'm going to type in here cold. No, okay, so it's not in this section. Conditions, that's the one. So, sleepy. These are things I need to resolve now for Yubi, because Yubi is effectively suffering from sleepy, and she's suffering from cold, and I might need to do some rolls for her endurance or for something else right now. So being sleepy, it says after 1 day without sleep, so she's entering the first day where she's not had sleep, she becomes sleepy. She's now sleepy. She can't recover wits except through magic. Fine, we'll talk about that later. You suffer 1 point of damage to your wits each day. Okay? And as soon as you slept, you're no longer sleep. So that's a pretty straightforward one. If I open up Yubi's thing here, we can just say that she's taken... Ooh, I don't know if she already had taken 1 wits damage, but I think I had done a... You know what? We're going to make this a bit brutal. She's going to need a sleep suit. So we're going to say... Whoops. We're going to say here that she's taken a 2nd wits damage. This is not going to go good for her leading the way in scouting rolls either. Bloody hell. Oh, sound is glitchy. Is the sound still glitchy, everyone? I'm just seeing that in the stream. The joys of live streaming with a bad internet connection. And this is one of the benefits of pre-recording and then editing afterwards. It's a lot of work, but I am kind of guaranteed, because I don't have to do anything with the internet other than access Foundry. I don't tend to have any of these sort of issues. So anyway, hopefully the sound is going to be okay. I'll just power on and just hope that the video is going to be okay afterwards. Sorry about this. Yeah. Okay. Right. Anyway, so sleepy. We've given her 1 wits damage. I'm gonna go down to cold now. This is the really brutal one, right? I have to roll endurance regularly. The colder it is, the more frequently you need to roll. Okay. Now we're entering the winter, so I'm gonna have to basically be rolling fairly often. And really, what I should be doing is rolling probably endurance every quarter day now that it's winter. I will check the weather guide and see just what's happening with the weather as well. But yeah, basically, as it says here, in the depth of winter, you have to roll once every hour. It's not the depth of winter, but we're in winter now. That's why I'm saying every quarter day. Winter has just started, so I have to roll endurance for Yubi. So we're gonna roll that right now. Oh, And I might actually... She does have a blanket, which I think gives her a bonus against cold. It does. So she's probably got this blanket like wrapped around her. So I'm going to give her one. I'm going to roll just for her gear. Just for her gear. How do I do that? I think I'll just roll in the chat. Okay. So she has failed, and I'm not... This is a kind of a passive roll, the endurance roll for cold. So I'm going to leave it as it is. A blanket can give you extra dice to roll. If you fail, you become cold. Right, I already am cold. I immediately take 1 point of damage to both strength and wits. That's why I had the strength... but the strength was okay. I mean, that basically looks like it's going to break her. I don't remember why I had the wits ticked already. I assume that might have been from Sleepy, so I'm going to let that 1 damage to wits slide. And I'm just going to take strength, just because otherwise it's going to be a very deadly end to the campaign. She's probably going to die anyway, being cold and sleepy. Like, her wits are going to drop. She's going to fall asleep, and we'll see what happens. But yeah. You can even hallucinate, etc. Up to the GM to decide. Some say that when you're close to freezing to death, you feel a strong burning sensation that makes you take your clothes off. I have to keep rolling. If my strength is broken when I'm cold, I die the next time I have to roll. I cannot recover strength or wits, only after you've warmed up again. Only by campfire are you able to recover those attributes. So, all right. Okay. This is gonna... Let's see how this ends. What am I doing here? I'm in the wrong thing. That's why I can't do anything. Okay, now I can move around. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to roll 2d6 here for my weather chart to see what's happening with the weather. I'm going to do this every day. So roll 2d6. A 5. A 5 means it moves down this way, so it's actually snowing. Brilliant. So, yeah, that's not going to help with being cold at all. And if we can see here from the legend that it's a snow flurry, so it's not like just normal snow. It's not a heavy snow. It's a light flurry, so it's cold enough that it's kind of around freezing. So yeah, not ideal. So we've built this. I've already progressed the clock to take us to midnight. Now Yubi can get along just fine, even though it is midnight. It's dark because she's a goblin. She has nocturnal vision. So that's why she's setting out. She's dragging Udo out onto this makeshift raft that she's kind of thrown together, and she is pushing him and her off into the river. And I think it makes sense that because it's not been constructed particularly well, they're both getting wet. And I'm gonna have Udo. I mean, Udo's strength is already down. I'm gonna ignore Udo's coldness for the moment, just because it seems a bit pointless to have him use a fate point to not be dead, to then just die from hypothermia, which is probably likely anyway, as Yubi's trying to save him. So we're going to kind of brush past that a little bit and just kind of progress this along. So the two of them set off into the new hex, and in this new hex there's going to be some new things happening. And for this hex, I'm basically going to drag her along. As you can see here with what it looks like, it's going straight into this hex here, so they're kind of on the river still, right about there. And the first thing to do, if I go open this up and I look at the travel things here, is that I do actually need Yubi to do quite a lot here. She's going to be keeping watch. She's going to be leading the way. So leading the way is the first one. I just click on her here. I click here actually on lead the way. Nope. I can't remember how to do this. Just click on Yubi like that. Yeah. All right. Well, it's survival roll. And she's rolling a single dice because of her wits, so there's likely to be a mishap here. Yeah, I'm not pushing it either. So we have a lead the way mishap. I'm going to ask about an encounter in a second, but I think I'll resolve the mishap first. So if I come down here and go to my mishaps, where are my mishaps? Journeying mishaps. Click there, and it's lead the way. So click there. A persistent animal, a squirrel, bird, or other small animal follows you around and doesn't leave you alone. I've had this one before. This was what happened when I was coming up against the Great Insulter, the orc who was was almost took out Udo at the very beginning. It might make a noise at some inappropriate time, eat your food, or steal something. I'm gonna say it's the same squirrel that was there before. Just really... Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be that same squirrel that was kind of annoying us before. I've just seen Dorigo just say, dude, you can't buy a 6 in this campaign. Yeah. It's good when you're playing solo. You can kind of fudge a lot of things if you want, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm playing a little bit loose with some of these things, but we'll see where it takes us. But yeah, I mean, I think there might be some death happening anyway. I don't feel good about this. Okay, so there's a squirrel. That's the mishap. It's not that big of a deal, but it is kind of following us. It's kind of like hopping from tree to tree, we can say, along the riverside, chirping really loudly, and that's kind of annoying because it's kind of giving our position away if anyone like a bear is trying to follow us. We'll say it's on the same side of the river as the bear, so if it's assuming it's the same one, it hasn't managed to cross. And we've just basically we've come across into this one hex. Now the next question to ask is asking the oracle if there is an encounter in this hex. So I roll my d6 here. Is there an encounter in this hex? And we've got a wash here, which means that there's an adventure site. So if I go here to travel, nope, it's under lookups, I think. Yeah, my encounter oracle down here. If it's nothing, if they don't cancel each other, if they cancel each other out, or there are no successes or skulls, it's an adventure site. So there's an adventure site here. Oh my god. I think it's worth determining what kind of adventure site. It's pretty obvious it's going to be down here. And I think we'll do what I did before. I'll roll a d6 to determine what kind of adventure site it is. And what we're going to do is, I think it's unlikely that there's going to be a village. So it'll be a village. A village would be really good, but this close to the gray bear. I mean, it could have some interesting. That could be an interesting kind of plot development, actually. But I think it's unlikely. So we'll say it's a village on a 1. It's a ruined castle on a 2 or a 3, and a 4, 5, or 6 is that it's a dungeon. So I'm gonna roll that, and we'll see what it says. A 2. So it's a ruined castle. Okay. That's fine. I'm going to leave it there for a minute because Yubi is not about to get out right in the hex next to where this gray bear is and start investigating an adventure site, because that is absolute folly. Well, we still can't push on. There is an encounter there. We don't know exactly what's going on with that, but it's midnight. I think it's probably fairly safe to say that she's probably splashing a bit. And there's a castle looming up out of the darkness that she can see. I'm going to roll for this, actually. I'm going to roll for the dungeon. We're going to... for the castle. We're going to do a castle generator. Wolf Tower. Location empty. I'm just going to roll one extra. I'm going to delete it. Okay, it's empty anyway. So, there's a tower looming up out of the... next to the river, but it appears to be empty. So... That's fine. I'm just gonna kind of leave that as it is, and we're going to kind of continue on our way. That's the plan there. So the next thing to do is to I don't need to roll her scouting roll to see if whatever's at the encounter she needs to see it coming or not. So I can just leave that as it is. But I did say every quarter day I would be rolling for this raft to see if it falls apart. So I'm gonna do the oracle. The question is. Does the raft start falling apart? And I'm stacking the odds in favor of that happening. So I'm going to add a single success to whatever I roll here. So really, for it to not fall apart, I need to have at least 2. I need to have at least 2 failures. Those cancel each other out. That means a yes but. So a yes but result I'm going to say is it does. Yes, it starts falling apart. But Yubi has time to get to shore before that happens. So she's going to paddle. I think she's going to paddle. I mean, looking at the map here, it kind of going to the north side of like the north shore is technically in another hex. So I think with the Wolf Tower being there, she's actually, with it start falling apart, she's thinking, okay, this, it seems to be a tower, a castle that is uninhabited, but of course it's midnight, so maybe that's just the way, like maybe she's just not really be able to tell what's inside. Um, so she's gonna actually think that maybe she can hide. She and Udo can hide. She can make a fire up at the top of the tower, maybe, or somewhere. Maybe there's some fortifications that can keep the bear out if she's lucky. Although, of course, she'd have to kind of lug Udo around. Um, oh god, that's another thing I didn't think about is making strength rolls. But yeah, she's gonna get out. She's going to pull the boat to shore on the south side, and she's going to get into Wolf Tower. So that happens. We are progressing. I think I'm going to progress the thing here. It should be able to move two hexes per quarter day. So I'm going to just kind of say, because this is kind of happening, I think not too far into this hex, I'm just gonna kind of play a bit loose again with this and say it's about halfway through this hex. Sorry, halfway through the quarter day, which is like 3 hours. Progressing the clock 3 hours, and of course it's going dark again. Yeah. So the idea here is, Yubi's entering the tower with Udo, and she grabs him, like just manages to just get the raft on shore, grabs Udo under the armpits, and kind of drags him onto the shore, and is dragging him into the into the tower. And I think I'm gonna ask the Oracle if Udo kind of wakes up at this. Like, does he kind of become conscious of it? Is he able to kind of like put an arm around her shoulder and help himself a little bit to help him survive? So I'm just gonna ask a straight up question of the Oracle. I'm not actually going to I don't think I'm gonna stack it in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I don't think so. So straight up question for the Oracle. Does Udo snap out of consciousness? And I got a single success, so yes, but. The yes, but is that he's in a lot of pain. He's not, he has to be, he's dragging his feet, it's very slow going, he has to make regular stops, and there's no way he's probably going to be able to make it up to the top of the tower on his own steam. Like, he's going to have to be, like, roped up there, or I don't know, something. And Yubi's not really strong enough, especially in the current state that she's in, to kind of do anything for him like that. So Yubi's gonna look around for something inside the tower to help them kind of survive this day. And what I'm actually gonna do is, there is actually a new castle macro for the premium module for Forbidden Lands. I'm gonna roll on that and get a little bit more detail about this. Let's see what it actually gives me, because at the moment all I've got is a location. So I'm going to click on that, execute the macro, and here we have this. So I'm going to change the name a bit here. We're going to call it Wolf Tower Official. Tower made of stone. That's nice that it's a tower. With 3 or more floors. From its top, one can watch far away over the lands. Original staff 12. It was built to serve as a living space for something during the blood. Built by a priest. It's ruined, it's windy. Is it empty? A few descendants of the builder still live here. Well, I've already determined that it is empty, and I think it might be worth saying that a few descendants of the builder used to live here, but they were recently killed, perhaps by the Grey Bear. So I'll put here. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, it's taking too long. But yeah. I think that's probably fair to say. So we said 2 or 3 floors, and with the but, I think we can assume that it's ruined, right? But people have been living here, so I think it's fair to say that maybe they've got some sort of like shelter on the ground level. If the rest of it's ruined and windy and drafty, maybe there's like some sort of a building, a more recent building on the ground floor. but I've determined that it's empty already, and I think what's going to be happening is that Yubi's going to take Udo to this building, and she's going to notice that the door has been smashed off its hinges, and we'll say that there's like a dead body lying lying on the ground, ripped to pieces, and there's blood kind of everywhere, with the assumption being that the gray bear has already been here once and has basically killed the people that were living here. So it's a bit grisly, but there are some supplies in this house. Perhaps I'm gonna actually maybe roll for some supplies, some basic supplies, and more importantly, there's gonna be a hearth with a fire. So I think making camp is gonna be a cinch here. I'm gonna give Yubi a hand in this role for making camp as well. So this is basically, she's gonna try and warm up, get rid of her cold condition. She might even just sleep because she's desperately tired. Even though she knows that nobody's gonna be able to keep an eye out. I think she might be thinking perhaps the bear has left for a time and might be coming back late and come looking for them. Plus they went into the river, which would have lost their scent. So she's kind of banking on a few things here, that the bear might need a bit of time to find them. So if she needs time to sleep, she should do it now. So I'm gonna basically say for the rest of this time, she's gonna be making. I'm gonna say it's only gonna take half of a. Oh God, should I really do this? Because in my opinion, making camp role is also to find camp and to do that sort of thing, and that's why it takes so long to basically do that. But Yubi is planning on using a house, occupying this house, using it for survival, and as a result of that, I think it won't take as long. And I think she's going to be able to start a fire anyway. I just think that making the roll... I mean, she's going to be able to make a camp and everything, but the roll is going to be for the mishap. And I might make more than one mishap roll for this as well. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the mishap roll comes out with if she doesn't succeed. So, yeah. That's what we're going to do. So, I'm going to have Yubi here make a survival roll, which is what you roll for making camp. I'm going to give her a +2 modifier because of all the, it really should be fairly easy to do this. But there is a lot of blood. It's there's a dead body outside, which kind of smells. There's no way to close the door. So if it is kind of windy or breezy, there's potential that, trying to start a fire, I mean, there are still 3.5 walls, so it should be okay. She's getting a +2. And she's got a success, which is great. There's not going to be any kind of mishap. She's managed to succeed, thankfully, and gets a fire going instantly. The cold, she's going to be spending some time with that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're taking the cold condition away from her, and we're going to progress this clock to dawn. It's taken her that long to kind of get everything sorted. And just as day is breaking, she's going to kind of wrap her blanket around her near the fire. She's got Udo wrapped up in his blanket near the fire, and she's going to fall asleep. And she's going to sleep for the entire morning quarter day in front of a fire. So, I'm going to ask the Oracle if there is an encounter that happens while she is sleeping. And to do that, I'm going to do... I've asked the question, is there an encounter while she's sleeping? I'm not going to stack the odds or anything. I'm just going to make it a generic, a base roll here. Yes, but... yes, there is an encounter, but maybe she's so tired she kind of isn't initially aware of it, so it's going to take her by surprise. And for this one, I'm going to roll in the generic encounter table, which is... one of these ones. There it is. Generic encounter oracle. Scared hunters. Interesting. So they're scared. They're not aggressive. Maybe they're scared because of the gray bear. Maybe the gray bear's been kind of harassing the area for a while. And I think they're going to see the dead bodies outside. They're going to see Yubi in the doorway. And they're going to leave... No, they're not going to leave her alone. They're going to very quietly creep in, and they're going to see if they can steal anything from the packs. And in fact, I think Yubi's probably got her pack like kind of near her so she can go quite quickly, but Udo's is not. So they're not gonna risk waking Yubi, but they can tell that Udo, maybe like he's a bit gray or something, is quite poorly. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna very quietly. In fact, no, they're just gonna take Udo's complete backpack and they're going to steal his backpack. And that's gonna be the but condition. Udo's backpack with everything in it is gone. It's been stolen by these hunters. They're scared. They're perhaps in need of supplies themselves, and they've got a bit of a potential windfall here. So they're just going to steal that, and get out of here. They are going to be. We're in goblin territory, so I think it's fine for them to be goblins, which would make sense with them being nocturnal. That this is happening like in the wee hours of the night potentially, or in the morning, I should say. So like, they don't necessarily expect Yubi to be waking up. And she doesn't wake up through this. They managed to do it, and I'm not going to make a scouting roll for her. I'm not going to make a stealth roll for them. I'm just going to do it narratively because of that yes but result. And we're going to advance the clock to noon. Yubi's going to wake up, and she's going to maybe see some footprints like tracking, she's going to notice that something's not quite right, and she's going to instantly, like as she starts looking around, Udo's backpack is gone with everything that was in it. She didn't have time to go through and like change stuff around or anything like that. She just kind of put it near him and kept hers with her. So that kind of is getting her down, definitely getting her down. And but at the same time, I can look at her here. One thing I didn't do actually was I needed to roll for her to eat and drink, so I need to do that before she can actually, because her food might be out. Would be very devastating for her food runs out right now. She's got no food. She's eaten the last of her food. And Udo had some food in his pack, but it's gone now. She drinks from her water skin. She's fine with her water skin, but she's got no food. But that's fine because she's able to survive, right? We go back here. We can get rid of all of her damage here. She's not sleepy. She's not cold. She's back to full strength. She's at fighting fit capability, and I was planning for this to be the last session of potentially the last session of the campaign, depending on what had happened. But we're kind of running out of time. I thought maybe because if this was the last session of the season, that I could drag it on a little bit longer, make it last a bit longer. But I don't see. There's a potential way I want this. I'm thinking that this could come to a close, which is them getting to the village that they're heading towards. And seeing if Udo, like, regardless of whether Udo survives the journey or not, getting there is kind of like, it seems like a nice rounding point for this campaign to bring it to a close. So I don't think we're going to get anywhere near that with this session. Maybe the next session or the session after we can get that, we can actually achieve that. So I'll be kind of doing a few things here now to kind of bring this session to a close. But yeah, there will be more. So one thing, I've got a timer here. I've got a timer for the bear. I'm not saying how long it is. It's on a piece of paper. I'm filling in one of the tracks for the bear timer. I'm also filling in a track for Udo's timer, because we said that Udo was going to die on the noon on the 3rd of Winter Rise. It's noon. In fact, I just need to update this one here very quickly. I realize I'm kind of jumping in and out of Foundry. Apologies. So we're now at noon on the 1st of Winter Rise, and it's on the 3rd of Winter Rise at noon that Udo is going to perish. So yeah, Udo is still, he's slept. He's no longer cold or anything like that, but he's still in a bad way. Still probably going to be drifting in and out of consciousness. Anytime I think if I need him to kind of help walk, it's going to be an oracle roll to see if he's able to do that, if he's able to kind of like wake up and help a little bit with like moving and stuff. But as soon as, I think the result is going to be, if he's able to do that, it's going to be very, very limited what he can do. But yeah, this is where we're ending it. I mean, things are not going well at all for our two adventurers here. I mean, in one respect, the fact that Yubi has managed to, not die of cold, and has managed to get a fire going to get rid of that condition is really, really good. But she's now in a very desperate position where she's got no food, and spending time to hunt or forage is gonna take precious time that she doesn't really have, and she knows this, and she really needs to get moving to get to this village. So she needs a raft. She needs some way of transporting Udo, because she can't carry him all the way, like the kilometers that would be required. I think it's 10 kilometers for the size of a hex from memory. So we're talking like, 20 to 30 kilometers to get to where this village is. And she's not even sure. She's not got a map in front of her. She's not exactly sure. She just knows that roughly that this river, that there's a village at the fork of this river, a little bit further upriver. So really, yeah, things are kind of, there's kind of the chalk and cheese. There's some good and some bad news going on here for Yubi. I mean, really, Udo's pack getting stolen is not great at all. But it is what it is, right? We're rolling with the Oracle, rolling with what's happened, and that's where we're gonna end it. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens here. The next episode is probably not gonna be live. This is only live because Toni, the guy who helps with editing of this campaign, is on holiday, and I've been really busy. I haven't had time to pre-record anything or to do the editing myself, so that's why I'm doing a live one. Tony's gonna be back next week, back from his holiday, and I'm gonna try and record a session before this week is finished, so that either he or I, or the two of us together, can actually get something ready for Thursday. So we won't have any of maybe some of these streaming issues that we've had today, or maybe the patchy sound, if that's happened. Apologies for that, but it is what it is. I'm actually getting a new internet connection in 2 weeks, which I'm very, very thrilled about. So hopefully that will resolve a lot of the problems I'm having at the moment with my internet. So, thank you very much. If you haven't already, you can follow me on the various social media sites that are kind of at the bottom of this ticker here. I'm most active on Discord. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe buttons for this channel and for this video, as that really helps the channel to grow. And if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments of this video, or head over to one of my social media sites that you can see down below to get in touch with me. Discord, as I've said, is the best place to get in touch. But if you leave a comment in the video, I'll definitely see it and respond to it as well. So thank you very much, and catch you next time for the continued adventures of Yubi at this stage. Cheers and goodbye.